Can you hear me? So it was interesting to be introduced without understanding a single word. I trust it didn't say anything bad about me. So first of all, I'm really glad to be here. Thanks to the organization for having invited me. It's my first time in Podgorica, actually the first time ever in Montenegro. I really hope I will have also the chance to see something of the city. So, as I hope has been said before, my name is Maurizio Meossi. I'm here to represent Zaha Hadid Architects. And the way that I like to define the office for which I work is that we are a global team with a shared vision, which are, in a way, the two huge inheritances that our founder, Zaha, left us. The first is, of course, the vision that we share, a vision about architecture, a way to think, to feel, a way to filter and interpret our shared passion towards architecture through the lesson that we had, that I had the enormous luck, fortune to learn from Zaha herself. And the second is what we actually are right now. We are a global team. She's not with us anymore, but we keep bringing forward her message, her vision, which we share among us. So, as a matter of fact, we start having quite a consolidated track record of success. We have our more than 40 years old practice, so we are not that young anymore, as I'm not that young anymore. We have completed quite a lot of buildings in different parts of the world, and we still have a lot of projects that are on site, about to be finished, or just ready to go on site. Obviously, we have also quite a good background in terms of prizes received. We are quite strongly present in the media. On the average, you can read the number behind me. In the last 12 months, we had something like 4,000 articles about us worldwide, about our buildings, about our projects. And we still have a quite strong commitment, a lot of live projects we keep doing and winning competition, but we will be talking about that shortly. We have several projects that are, as I was saying, on site, just about to be completed. And as a matter of fact, we truly materialize the message of architects as someone that can work from the super tiny scale of interior design, even furniture, up to huge master planning. And we start being present with our project almost in all the 5 continents. I have to say, we missed a project in Montenegro, so I really hope that this could be the chance to get acquainted. So, when Novica invited me, he told me, look, the topic about which we are expecting you to be talking about is going to be about competition. Okay, I said, this is interesting, but let me first of all try to understand before deciding what I can talk about, let me do a little bit of research. I've been working for Zaha since 20 years, so I know that competitions are in our roots, in our DNA. Zaha herself, as any young architect, started her practice almost alone with students just by doing competition. So I know that clearly I've done myself within the company a lot of competition, but a lot means what? So I started doing a bit of research purely in terms of number to start finding out that all the numbers that you will see now are calculated somehow on the average of the last 5 to 10 years. On the average, we do something like 30 design competition per year. We have an average winning ratio of 35% average. But what is more interesting is that 65% of the projects that we do are coming from winning competition. That means that every 3 running projects within the office, 2 of them are result of a one competition. Once that I got all this number, the question emerged even bigger. What the hell am I going to talk about? I mean, I could talk for 10 hours in a row, which of course is not the case. So I say, well, at the end of the day, I'm here representing a company, so I will talk about competition at Zaha Hadid, but allow me to make it a little bit personal. That's why I say I wrote a semi-personal history or tale about competition at Zaha Hadid Architects. Semi-personal meaning, first of all, I have decided which competition I will show you. So in a way, I decided to pick some specific competition along the 40 years of history of our company, deciding personally those that I consider really as milestones for the evolution, for the story of the office, and of course, with an additional level of intimacy, allow me to say, towards myself, meaning that I also introduce my personal story as an architect at Zaha Hadid. So after this introduction, the first competition that I believe we have to talk about is the peak in Hong Kong. The reason is because basically it's a competition, as you can see, that was run in 1982, between 1982 and 1983. Consider that Zaha opened her office, established her office in 1979, so was really a super young practice. But she won the competition and she exploded within the cultural architecture establishment environment like a nuclear bomb. Nothing like that was seen before. The presentation of the competition was done entirely through paintings, which are what you see right now on the screen, as she literally created like a tornado within the architectural culture. I wasn't even an architectural student at that time, but I remember that when I discovered Zaha, I said, what the hell is this about? I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Volumes clashing one into the other, crazy perspective, all end drawings. I was personally shocked as the entire architectural environment got shocked. Nothing of this project has been built, but nevertheless made her, from a young, promising architect, something that was already close to be a rock star of architecture, an archistar, if you want to use this term. Here you see this young lady presenting somehow the project to Miss Margaret Thatcher. And it was the beginning of a long trajectory. It took 10 years before one competition could lead to a building. So we are now in 1993, IBA housing in Berlin, that again was presented with their typical amazing paintings, but this time got completed, and it's also a project to which I'm quite strongly emotionally attached because it's the first building ever built by Zaha Hadid that I saw in person. At that time, I was an architectural student, and truly I would have never imagined to be 20 years, well actually 25 years later here talking about this project to you guys. Competitions can be, I mean, the way that I have decided to build this narrative is based on a principle that you can't always win, and it can't always be a positive history. There are also fall down, there are bad experiences, like for example, the Cardiff Bay Opera in Wales, 1994, was a competition that Zaha won, and that for her as a person had a huge meaning because she was starting to be well renowned, she was still teaching, she was, again, as I was saying before, on an uprise of really becoming a superstar of architecture, and the idea of winning a competition in the United Kingdom, we are in Cardiff, again, Wales. Obviously, she was extremely proud of this, but then, as several times happened, and I think that already in the previous presentation, this topic has been mentioned several times, There are several emotional steps to a competition because it's emotional and passionate the way that you, as an architect, you live with the competition while you do it. Then there is the passion before waiting for the result. Then you win the competition. But I have to say that that point is probably the most critical because, let's be honest, I mean, we are architects. What we want to do is to build things. Well, instead what happened here is that although the result of the competition was quite unanimous, meaning the jury was absolutely of the idea that this was the right project for that place, local establishment, the local academy start really building up a case against this building, saying that it had nothing to do with the local culture, with the history and tradition of Wales, and this is what they decided to build. They basically ran another competition. They gave the project to, I mean, I've been there. I have to say, it's building, but it's clearly remark, you know, the cultural heritage of Wales, etc. And in a way, what happened was potentially could have been a catastrophic, dramatic point also for the office. Zaha took this really, really bad on a personal level, but luckily enough, just a few years later, something else happened, and she won, the office won, the competition for the Museum of the Art of the 21st Century in Rome, which again, for me personally, is for a multiple sequence of reasons, a milestone not only for the office, but also for me as an architect. I just finished my university when the competition was won by Zaha. So I remember the first reaction was, wow, amazing, Zaha won a competition in Italy. The second reaction, being Italian, was, okay, this is never going to happen. This building will never be built. The third reason why this project is really important for the office is also because it represents a turning point also in the way that the office was approaching architecture. It exploded within the office a strong culture about informatics, about computational design. I believe that this video should be exposed probably in some exhibition about architectural representation to digital media. You can see also by the, the way that is jumping is actually stopped, so sorry. Let me see if I can do something about it. No. Anyway, it was a long video just driving along all the building. But, so, going back, winning a competition in Italy, my lack of trust at that time for the building to be completed. Third point, the first real project developed a lot through the use of digital computation. Fourth, not only it got built, but I also worked a lot on this project during its construction. So, as a matter of fact, a good chunk of my heart belongs to this huge piece of concrete. So I don't want to get into the conversation about exposed concrete. Obviously, this project, don't take it as an example of quality of concrete because it's way too far. But it cost a lot of blood to get the result that you see here. So just scroll some images. And this is the interior, the main atrium. And this is me. Because precisely in that period, just after the competition was won, at some point, one day, I entered that door, and I never get out of the space. I entered that door to do one competition in particular, that was the BMW headquarters in Leipzig, in Germany. I literally finished my thesis at the Architectural Association. Patrick Schumacher, that was co-lead of the office already with Zaha, came to us literally the day before we were presenting and said, guys, we got selected for the second stage of this competition in Germany. You should come because we need help. So we literally moved directly. The entire studio moved to the office. And it was quite an interesting topic because it was literally a piece of land surrounded by 3 manufacturing buildings. So it was literally meant to be crossed by chains carrying pieces of the cars. So on one plot was the production, then the cars were going to the next one for painting, and then they were going back, and then to the storage one. So I believe that it was, in a way, the ideal project for us, because it's all about moving around, it's all about creating, playing with this dynamic, with these fluxes, with this change in direction, right? And this is the way that we read the brief, and this is the way that we decided to play also, in the way that we were explaining the project, really as something that is strongly connected to the landscape, is strongly connected to the industrial realm. It is an industrial building in a way. And so also, again, in terms of visual communication of the project, we really played a lot with this idea. So you see that these are the chain lines that are carrying the cars through the different parts of the factory, and then, of course, the offices, the main spaces, etc. And this is the result. So we won this competition, and of course it was amazing, because at that point, I mean, entering the office, doing one competition, and then Zaha came and said, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or you want to leave? Oh, you know what, I mean, maybe I stay for a while. I can do some other competition and see how it goes. So let's just let the image talk, because at some point you will see these are the lines that are carrying the cars. I did myself in person this animation. I remember they were all shocked, in particular where I started putting cars going up and down. That was quite fun. So I said, at that time, I mean, we were still exploring the use of informatics and computational architecture. I was one of the few people that was able to do render, so we didn't commit to render to specific render companies. We were doing everything at home, so I was the render guy, and this is something that Zaha was so happy about, that she decided that I had to take part to any competition that was done. So I ended up doing something like 8 competitions in 5 months, something that really drained my blood down. And of course, many of them were lost competitions. So you will see images that you may have never seen before, for sure, because they never even got published, like this Citroën showroom on the Champs-Élysées in Paris, or this small museum in Munich, Collection Brandos, that went through stages, and then we ended up losing the last one. But sometimes from a lost competition, you can plant a seed of something that can become something else. This is also a concept that I have heard, thanks to the amazing work of the interpreter today, which is quite strong, and I truly believe on it, meaning you can do a competition and lose it, but somehow you start thinking through a concept of architecture, a specific idea that you can somehow keep working on and using it for different ideas. So it's the case of this competition in particular, that is the Florence high-speed train station, a competition that I did since the beginning. Of course, I'm Tuscan. Many people that I meet tell me that even from the way that I speak English, they can understand not only that I'm Italian, which is quite strong, but specifically that I'm Tuscan. So I'll take it as a compliment. I mean, I don't mind. I'm proud of my origin. Being in Florence, I mean, I absolutely want to take part to it. And the idea of this competition was about a canyon that was really fitting the brief, because the station, the competition was then won by Norman Foster, but still hasn't been built. Florence is not particularly easy from this point of view. But the idea of the canyon somehow remained, and when the client of the competition decided, the client that of course is the Italian network of railways, even though we didn't got the competition in Florence, they were really, really happy about our proposal. We got the third prize, as far as I can remember. They invited us also for the next one that was in Naples, and the team played with sort of the same concept. Obviously, it's a completely different brief because this time is a train station above the ground, but the interior space has still strong that concept of the canyon, and this time the competition was won, the station has been built, is completed, and is in Naples. Next competition that I'll show you is a huge one, and is the, I'll speak Italian here, the Quartiere Storico of Milano Fiera, also called City Life. That was quite a big competition, was the Old Fair Quarter of Milan. We are talking about an area of one kilometer by 1 kilometer, and it was a developer-led competition, meaning different developer, they tendered together, and the one that we were participating with decided to create like a sort of group of architects, because it was not only us, but also Arata Izozaki and Daniel Libeskind. So the master plan that emerged was quite complex, with 3 iconic towers, one by Izozaki, one by Libeskind, and one by us, and surrounded also by different buildings, in particular residential plots. And this residential plot is from us, and it's the first project that I entirely led and directed. So it's quite a good chunk of my life, because this time was not only about render, not only about leading a team, but also about living on site. I lived for 3 years on the construction site, going every day on site and developing this project literally together with the constructors. 7 residential buildings, one different from the other, with this sort of wrapping skin of aluminum and timber cladding. And I have to say that was the most beautiful thing about architecture, again, as we were saying before. I mean, renders are amazing, diagrams are exciting, but when you see something built and you see that is working, that people enjoys it, that is considered a successful Instagram point, right? It's an amazing, amazing excitement. And I let the image talking by themselves. This is from it's a sort of a courtyard typology, right? 7 buildings wrapping around the central courtyard, residential gardens, etc. It's a nice view. And a beautiful sunset with the Alps on the back. From this point on, I started running a lot of other competition. I have to say, with a quite personal, very good winning ratio. I have to say, better than the office itself. This one is in Istanbul. It's quite a huge development for a private developer, which is a truly mixed use of different functions. Here we have a short video. In theory, there should be also some music. Not sure. It's quite low, but anyway. It's a way to explain how we believe the project, this small master plan, could emerge from an existing framework, the existing road network, the existing topography, and then build this sort of plateau with commercial activities, and then different towers with different projects, residential, but also offices. So clearly quite an interesting scale to deal with altogether. It's a view of what is, in a way, the main elevation, if we can call it like that, with all these buildings protruding, terracing down, and creating this sort of built environment, built landscape. while from the other side, a bit more protected view with the residential buildings and the courtyard and the meandering line of this sequence of retail areas. And again, it's a project that is hopefully will see the light at some point. It's taking its time, but this is happening sometimes. A few images, again, the residential buildings, and again, the way that we hope it will be seen. The next one is quite provocative, meaning it's a project that right now I'm more proud about, but unfortunately I can't show it. Because this is also something that happens, right? Because it's a competition that happened in 2019, we won it. It's for the New Science Center in Singapore. So I am allowed to say that we are designing this building, but I'm not allowed yet to show it to you because it's still confidential, meaning it has not been published. And I have to say that if we were having this conference in 2 weeks, I would have probably been talking only about this project because it's about to be released for the public. So as we say in social media, stay tuned because this is about to happen. It's really a project that I like, that I love. It's 50,000 square meters of exhibition space in an amazing location in Singapore along the Jurong Lake. And it is meant to go on, to be on from next year, hopefully meant to be completed by 2027, 2028. So I hope that you will all see it pretty soon. Last is a very recent project, a recent competition. Again, is a particular here, 2020, right? So we were basically just after that, the project before, Singapore stopped for a while because, of course, due to the pandemic, the project, being a public project, slowed down quite significantly. I found myself, luckily enough, I can say unemployed, but without a running project. So I found this competition for a private developer in Budapest. Budapest is a city that I love because I have some remembrance from memory from my youth, an amazing school trip to Budapest. So I said, I think we have to do this competition. I mean, I have good vibes about it. And again, being 2020, this was the first competition for our office that was done entirely working from home. And we won it. And it was really amazing because we were used to do competitions, living entire days inside the office, you know, fighting with each other. All of a sudden, we had to do all of these talking via Zoom that was making it really difficult to fight, or even worse, once that it was making also easy to fight about stupid things, simply because we couldn't see each other, right? Anyway, it was a successful entry. It's a small master plan, most residential building with office and the retail component, which somehow creates a sort of a landmark, is the iconic thing that makes the entire plot recognizable. The strong idea was about creating a sort of green path, a green line that was crossing through the entire city and was then, through the entire plot, sorry, and then ending on a big park along, crossing a small creek that was on the edge of our plot. And again, the master plan is being completed now. It's going to be developed by the developer. We don't know how it will end. But anyway, I thought it was still a nice story to be told. But in line of principle, what I truly believe is here on my back. I mean, the most exciting competition is always the next one that you have to do. So I believe this is also a strong message for the young architects here, never be satisfied about what you do. If you win today, think about what you will have to win tomorrow and the day after. And that's it. Thank you.